This video provides an overview of the Policy Manager application, a central hub for creating, managing, and distributing company policies across your organization. You'll learn how to configure the admin settings, set permissions, manage versions, and track policy acceptance to ensure your teams stay compliant and informed. Policy Manager allows you to create, store, and distribute company policies across your organization. Users can additionally be asked to accept policies if applicable, and this is tracked in-system. It's perfectly acceptable to have no acceptance and instead have Policy Manager act as a repository to browse policy content. New policies can be created or pre-existing policies can be updated to new versions by administrators. Before starting to add policy content, the admin side of the application needs to be set up by administrators. If Policy Manager has already been in use on your site, check the admin side to confirm this is set up how you'd expect it to be. When a policy is created, it has to be stored under a category. A user needs permission to create a new policy per category. The categories you'll need will be dependent on your own internal business requirements. The most important aspect of a category is defining what it will contain and who has permissions to view and add policies within it. Policy types are further ways to filter and sort policies by format. For example, you may choose to define types by policy, procedure, instruction, and so on. Unlike categories, there are no permissions tied to types. Types can be attributed to policies when uploaded, and those created will appear on the front end of Policy Manager to help users search for related content. The Status Details section allows you to create additional states for policies to move through, based on your company's internal processes. It may well be that you do not require additional statuses and the default draft and distribution statuses will be sufficient. However, if a more complex workflow for your policy content is required, you can add your own custom statuses. By default, a new policy will start as a draft, and then when it's ready to be seen or accepted by end users, it's put into distribution status by the policy creator or administrator. Policies will be labelled with the colour and title of its status so that it's easy for everyone to see. The default permissions area enables you to define the standard permissions for all future policies you create. Users, roles, or groups entered here will automatically populate in the permissions area of a new policy. This can drastically speed up creating policies where the bulk of permissions given remains constant. It's possible to change the individual permissions of each policy if this differs from the default permissions, which allows for more granular control. However, the intention here is to create standardized permissions that apply generally, with tweaks made on a case-by-case basis when adding content. Further to this, we strongly recommend creating a dedicated intranet role to grant Policy Manager permissions to intranet admins en masse, such as a policy administrator role or similar. This will make applying permissions more efficient and allow them to remain stable over time. As more policies are added, any new responsible user can simply be added to the policy administrator role and get all the rights to every policy. Create this role in Admin, People, before uploading content to Policy Manager. Any users specified in the User Report Permissions box will have access to reports in the front end of Policy Manager. There will be two reports available: Acceptance and Approval. The Acceptance report shows a list of users who are in the policy target distribution group and the status of their acceptance. The Approval report shows a list of users with permission to the extra workflow statuses, confirming that they're ready for the policy to move on to the next stage, with the final stage being distribution, where the policy is formally published. The final options within the admin panel allow users to adjust features related to visibility and accessibility of Policy Manager, most importantly allowing minor edits and managing the policy landing page. If the Allow Minor Edits option is set to No, any changes applied to a policy will create a new version, meaning all users who have previously accepted the policy will have to accept it again. Whereas with this option set to Yes, small changes such as correcting spelling mistakes are allowed without creating a new version of the policy. This is especially important to consider as accepting a policy is evidence that the user has read a particular version. Therefore, any edits that go beyond correcting spelling errors and could change the policy's terms should require publishing an entirely new version of the policy for renewed acceptance. Next, you can choose whether the Policy Manager landing page on the front end is set to display either the My Policies or All Policies tab. My Policies will list any policies that are deemed mandatory for you. For this reason, the most popular setting is to set the Policy Manager to open on All Policies. All Policies will list every policy that the user has permission to view, and they can navigate through or search amongst these. Typically, we recommend setting this to open on the All Policies tab as the default, so that all users can browse all policies more easily. Once the admin side has been configured, policy content can be created and managed. When a user has permission to upload to a category, they can begin to create new policies within this using the Add Policy button. The two most common methods of policy creation are using the page asset type, which allows text to be entered in Claromentis, or the file upload button, so a pre-existing PDF or Word document can be uploaded and embedded on the page. It's fine to upload or create policy content that is view-only and simply have them act as a repository of information for users to browse in the application. However, if there are policies you'd like to record user acceptance for, you must configure this. In the policy permissions, give all users, roles, and groups that you want to accept the policy the target distribution permission and put the policy into distribution status. These users will be notified that they are required to read and accept this policy, and the acceptance box will appear in the policy for them to do so. An administrator can check the acceptance status of users in the target distribution permission at any time from the acceptance status area, which appears in each policy to users with permissions to view. From here, a list is shown of who has or has not yet accepted the policy. A reminder to only those who have not accepted the policy can be sent from here if required. Administrators can use the Manage Policies area to get an overview of all current policies. They can also be edited from this area if the administrator has permission to do so. Depending on what is set in the admin side, you can either make minor edits to policy content, or if major edits are made, a new version will be created. If acceptance was completed in the previous version, the system will prompt the administrator to decide if users in the target distribution group should be notified. The page component for Policy Manager is a handy tool to get visibility on policies that the user has to accept. It can be placed on pages that are frequently visited, such as the home page, to give users a visual indication of policies they need to review. This can be particularly useful once a lot of your policies have been loaded into the system. Our generative AI feature can be toggled for Policy Manager in Admin, System, AI. When the AI option is enabled, the AI Assistant button will appear to users when viewing a policy. Clicking on this will open a chat window. The AI provides questions based on the policy content, and the user can click on this to see the answer, or the user can enter their own prompt or question for the AI to respond to. Follow the information provided in this video to identify your policy application administrators and ensure they take our e-learning course. They need to understand how to manage policies over time and be confident in making any changes needed. Ask your policy administrators to confirm all policy application administrators are set correctly. Check the admin side of Policy Manager has been configured appropriately. Confirm policy administrators are confident in creating new policies or editing existing ones.